Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Reinvention Show, the place where we come every week to explore how do we not just survive the uncertainty, volatility, and constant disruption we all face today, but how do we actually thrive in it? Reinventions in my life as an academic, as a business owner, as a speaker, as an author. Happy to see you here with me. Let me know in the comments where you joining me from. Today is just me. Very often we bring guests, but today I wanted to talk about our story of reinvention, the reinvention of our consulting business. And I hope that the lessons we'll learn in the process and the specific tools and discoveries will be relevant for you, whether you are in a consulting business, you're a coach, trainer, consultant, internal expert, or you are in any other industry and you are thinking about reinvention, and what I'm going to talk about would be relevant as you are exploring what exactly should you reinvent, how should you think about it, and so on. I see Miguel is here from Portugal. Welcome, 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 our certified reinvention practitioner. I see Debbie is here from Tennessee. Welcome, Debbie. Happy to have you back. Let me know in the comments where you are joining us from. I'm still in Columbus, Ohio, United States, and we have some travel coming up. Those of you who are in New York City or around, I will be speaking at the National Speakers Association New York chapter in May. I will be also the speaker at ATD conference at Orlando, the one that brings usually together something like 20,000 people. I'm one of the speakers this year. So happy to connect also and be on the road with you, those who are in New York or in Orlando. Michael is here from Orlando. Michael, I hope there will be a chance to see you at ATD as well. There are other people. Welcome. So reinvention in consulting business, our practical case and the lessons we learned. Let me set the context. I am a recovering academic. I had a position in an academic institution that was rather senior. After you already reached all the positions you can, the last frontier is chaired professorship. Chaired professorship is when you are given this really great honor to lead a particular direction. And it's usually a sponsored position. In my case, I was Coca-Cola chaired professor of sustainability and strategy. And at that point, I had a wonderful life, and I had a challenge from one of my executive MBA students who was a CEO of a regional, quite significant company in agriculture and food production. And he said, you say all the right things. You speak so well. I almost believe you. The problem is you've never worked in a real business. So how about you work in a real business, and your knowledge, your insights actually will be of a completely different quality because of that experience. And I took his advice. He was one of our first clients. And in 2007, my husband and I started our consulting business called We Exist Reinvention Agency. At that point, it was not called We Exist Reinvention Agency. It had a very, very bad brand. It had no website, no business cards. We were word of mouth organization. An executive would pass us on to another executive, and a board member would advise to another board member. And that's how we grew our business to 2014. So in 7 years, as a reinvention agency, as a company specializing on companies and situations, products, processes, markets that were already facing crisis, we became so busy that we couldn't accept any more clients. And that's where our first reinvention happened. 2014, we are at the capacity. We have over 100 subcontracting companies in our pool. We actually rely on other consultants to deal with our clients because we built very complex projects, end-to-end projects where we are there until results are achieved. And even with such a massive pool of subcontractors, we still couldn't accept new clients. And again, the push from our end came from one of our former clients who said, if you cannot come and help us, can you please develop a methodology so you can teach us how to reinvent? If you cannot come and reinvent for us, can you teach us how to reinvent? The famous provide the fish versus teach us how to fish. And that was the start of Reinvention Academy. So just from this few stories, what you see consistently is the need in consulting, coaching, training business that we see right now to be super close to your customers and to have an ear to the ground. And if you have an ear to the ground, you are able to notice a trend and turn it into a product very, very quickly. It was our ear to the ground that kind of forced us to start the consulting business. It was again ear to the ground that forced us into a new business, which is education and Reinvention Academy. So the first question I have for you is, how often do you proactively seek ideas from your clients? How often? Is it once a year? Is it every 6 months? Is it every 4 months? How often do you do that? And the second question, if you can put it in a chat, how often you do that? And the second question, of course, is how exactly do you get those ideas? Because the famous quotes, whether it was from Ford, who said if I was asking people what they need, they would keep saying faster horses, not cars. Same exact quote was from Steve Jobs when he was talking about smartphones and tablets, that if I was asking the clients what they need, they would never come up with a smartphone or the tablet. So we need to ask the questions regularly and proactively, but we also need to know how to ask those questions. So if you can put in the chat, how often do you proactively seek insights from your customers on the new directions of growth for your business? How often? Every year, every 6 months, every 3 months, every week, and so on. And the second question we will explore together is, what are the good methods of asking for that feedback? Because if we talk about our growth, and we've been growing every single year, regardless of a global crisis of 2008, 2011, the pandemic, and so on, we grow every year. This January, we are 7 times the revenue of last January. So we grow and grow and grow. The question is, what allows us to grow? Number one, ear to the ground. Ear to the ground, ear to the ground, ear to the ground. So Michael says weekly. I love that. Weekly. I would love to see other answers. How often do you proactively ask your clients and potential clients, get feedback from them on what's going on in their life and their work and their field, that you use as a source of ideas for your own business? Weekly, I see. Anybody else? Anybody else? How often do you need to ask? And while you are answering, Michael, it would be great to also know, how do you get insights from them that are honest? Miguel says, not often enough. Miguel, I love the honesty. So yes, the big mistake and the big challenge that I see in the consulting, coaching, and so on business is that we don't ask often enough. So my first lesson for you is ear to the ground, proactively, and more often than you think is necessary. More often than you. So if you think it's once a month, do it twice a month. If you think it's once a year, do it twice or 5 times a year. Akash says monthly. Love that. Monthly. This is very good to have a heartbeat. So there is a structure, there's a system, and there is a proactive regularity, consistency in asking. I can tell you, for our company, we ask our customers something about every 2 days. We ask our customers insights about every 2 days. And we do it in many, many different formats. We do polls via email and social media. We have private groups and private channels for our customers where we post visuals and ask them to vote. We post ideas and potential products and ask them to vote. We put together raw products or tools and ask for input. And if you look at our track record, you can also check our social media posts. We ask people to react and vote about every 2 days, depending on the channel. But we're not yet every day, but we are approaching that. About every 2 days, there's something that we ask our customers, and we ask super, super minute questions as well. Not just big strategy questions, but constant engagement where our customers help us notice things we haven't noticed, react to our logos, react to our slogans, react to our packages, react to our tools. About every 2 days is how often we ask our customers. I see, what do we ask? Whenever I talk to them, I ask them how they are, and more specifically, what is your current plan? If you wake up at 4 a.m., what fills your thoughts? I love that poll. So this is one of my favorite questions as well. What keeps you up at night? What keeps you up at night? And the question on priority has been very, very helpful. Akash suggests a pulse survey. Absolutely. We do quick surveys. We love one question survey. It's been very, very important for us to do a one question survey on a regular basis. So we noticed that today, because of the busyness, it's not enough to do big surveys. We do them as well. But one question survey has been incredibly useful for us, and we get hundreds of responses for the one question survey. So one question surveys, visual respond to a visual, text respond to a text. Our pulse with our customers right now is about every 2 days, and we do utilize multiple channels, including social media. For us, that is primarily LinkedIn and a private group on Facebook. And we also have private channels on Telegram and few other places, WhatsApp, Telegram, private closed channels where we connect with our customers around the world. So we're not dependent. And of course, we're exploring other tools such as Slack and so on. We do surveys through email quite heavily. So number one tool that helps us grow, ear to the ground, regular proactive inquiry from our customers where we ask their peak moments, what keeps them up at night, and of course, what are their priorities, what are the most important thing on their agenda right now. So this is number one, voice of the client, voice of the customer, as Michael says. Number one thing that helps us grow, ear to the ground, communicating more often than necessary. Now, when we are engaging with our customers that often, every 2 days, this also means that our customers become co-creators and stakeholders in our business. And when you are emotionally involved and you participate in the creation of a new tool, in the choice of a new logo, in the choice of a new program or new direction or new topic, you naturally have a stake, you have an emotional attachment to that. And I value our community so much. We are absolutely a tribal community. We grow through the tribe. We build emotional connections. We care a lot. We do have a lot of high touch, high connection. And I'm so thankful to see so many of our students here. Miguel is our student. Nafis is our certified reinvention practitioner from India. Miguel is in Portugal, of course. There are others here who, Debbie, I think, finished our Breakthrough Reinvention course. This communal approach, this idea of building a passionate tribe has been very important to us. So number one, ear to the ground. Second thing that helped us the most. As I mentioned, as we were announcing the show, in the middle of a pandemic in 2020, we grew Reinvention Academy in revenues by 477%. In 2021, we doubled that. And in 2022, our January was 7 times the revenues of the January of 2021. And our quarter right now is overall about 4 times the volume of last quarter, first quarter of the year. So we've been growing year to year to year. What else helped us? The second thing that helped us most when it comes to understanding and growing and building on the voice of the customer is understanding that we no longer can sell content. And here's what I mean by that. In most of consulting for a long period of time, consulting, training, and even the part of coaching, we were essentially experts in the room, and our expertise was around a particular content. So I come in and I deliver the answer. If I am a consultant in marketing, I have a specific answer, step by step, or concrete, pragmatic, repeatable answer on what to do in marketing. If I'm in change management, in strategy, in reinvention, I come in and I have the answer in terms of the content expertise. If I'm in legal, IT, security, and so on, I come in and I have the answer. And what became very clear because of the shrinking of the business cycles and the acceleration of the speed of change, where we now are forced to reinvent every 3 to 4 and sometimes even less years. The median of our survey, as you remember, in 2020 was 6 years. Total 60% of companies reinventing every 3 years or less. Every 3 years or less. In that speed of change, the content expertise becomes less valuable because the content, a case, a solution, an approach that worked just a few years ago may not work today because the regulatory conditions change, competitive environment change, technological environment change, talent situation, where the talent is, where the human beings are, and what do they want out of life change, customer experience change, geopolitics, wars, pandemic disruptions, supply chain management, and so on. All of those conditions mean that the answer that worked for us and our clients just a few years ago may not work today, and in some cases actually can be disruptive and destructing, can be destroying our clients. So it becomes crucial for us to develop not just our content expertise, but really boost our process expertise, where our job as consultants, coaches, business trainers, internal experts, maybe you are an HR partner, maybe you're an internal agile coach or scrum coach or somebody else, innovation expert. Our job now is not to come with the off the shelf boxed solution. Our job is to organize the process where a collectively built custom made solution would emerge. So we don't come in as an expert in content, we come in as an expert in process. I'll give you an illustration. This is something that I share in many of our master classes. It is one of the things, of course, we cover at the Global Alliance of Reinvention Professionals, and it's something that will go in depth at the next week's Easy Reinvention Lab. If you haven't yet registered, it's free, it's live, it's online. It's a full-on 5-day experience for reinventing your business, and it only requires about 1.5 hours a day. So you can watch it on a replay while driving from a customer meeting, and you don't need to watch it. You can listen to it on a replay and then do a short exercise with a workbook. So I would love to see you at the Easy Reinvention Lab. But as we are covering this topic, this is one of the examples we always give. As a strategy and reinvention consultant, in the past, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, already at 10, it was not easy. I would come in and I would give you options, strategic option. This is your scenario A, scenario B, scenario C. So I come in with pre-made strategic scenarios for my clients. Today, those scenarios are hard to produce without engagement of the company and without very deliberate knowledge of the business. But even more importantly, if I come in with a ready-made scenario, I am always met with resistance because people are so tired of all this big shot experts coming in and telling them what to do. There's huge level of fatigue. There's huge level of skepticism. There's huge level of overwhelm. So if my position as a consultant, I come in and I give you 3-4 strategic scenarios, the most reaction is usually very negative. Either my scenarios are incomplete because there's no way I can know everything about your business that is in the middle of very fluctuating environment, or my scenarios are decent, but the overwhelm and the resistance is so high that those scenarios are not helpful. What's the alternative? Not to come in with content, come up with an easy process to co-create those scenarios with the actual client organization. And that's where things such as scenario planning come in. This is a very simple experience. We actually developed a tool for scenario planning that is significantly easier than the original scenario planning methodology developed by Shell. And it's very productive. And it only requires a couple of hours every every day for 3 days, or about day and a half of a workshop with a client. And instead of me coming with scenarios, we co-create scenarios, and the resistance goes down and the quality of those scenarios goes up. This is the example of a difference between content consulting and process consulting. Content consulting is me coming in as a subject matter expert with a pre-made content. Process consulting is me coming in and facilitating a process in which the answer can be found. Process consulting, of course, is not new. Those of you who are familiar with the work of Edgar Schein, he had an excellent classic book on process consultation in the 80s. And I highly recommend Edgar Schein book on process consulting. But it is becoming a much more forward-looking tool today. So in terms of our growth, number one lesson, ear to the ground. Number two, process consulting, not just content consulting. And I want to ask you, how many of you are already offering high quality process consulting? If you're offering, give me a plus in the comments. If you're not yet, if most of your consulting is still content, you come in and you give the answer, you give the right method, you give the right approach, give me a minus. So those of you who are already doing process consulting, give me a plus. Those of you who are doing content consulting mainly, content teaching mainly, give me a minus. And if you are a mixture, give me a plus and a minus. That would be great in the chat. I would love to know where you are. Process consulting, content consulting, or somewhere in between. If you are mostly in process, give me a plus. If you're mostly in content, give me a minus. And if you're in combination, give me a plus minus. So I see there is a plus from Michael. This is great. Others, let me know where you are. Are you more on the content, more on the process? I see somebody saying plus minus, both. Good to see that. So that's very important. Very important that there is a combination. And some of you are in the minus. Paul is in a combination. Great. So the invitation that I have for you is to develop a more diverse set of options around process consulting. How can it look? What can you offer? It can be different exercises. It can be different combinations. So not just consulting, not just coaching, but maybe combination of consulting, coaching, and training. Maybe something else. Think about proactive combination and reinventions of your own product offering so that you can increase process consultation. There are tons of tools you can use: appreciative inquiry, kill the company exercises, future search exercises, and so on. There's tons of different offers you can make. Of course, scenario planning workshops. You can offer a lot of options that will help you with process consulting, process offers, not just content offers. Because today, the level of fatigue, the level of skepticism, oh, it's just another consultant with their fancy PowerPoint who will tell us all the answers, and then none of those answers work. That kind of attitude is really damaging to consulting, coaching, and training right now. And that kind of thing is what we proactively need to address. Process consulting helps us address that. We do not come in on a big horse to save everyone. We are not there to preach. We're there to roll up our sleeves and co-create something that will be custom made, fit for the specific situation, for the specific reality, for the real human beings on the ground, for the specific regional industry and otherwise limitations, and so on and so forth. So that's trend number 2. And trend number 3 is collaboration. I think that's one of the things that happened most actively in the last few years. If before it was all about proprietary knowledge, it was all about, I have my own unique trademark copyrighted methodology. I have my own boundaries and I'm better than you. I'm better than this consulting company. I'm better than this consulting or this training or this coaching. Today, most of what we do is collaborations with our own competitors. Our consulting projects are collaborative. Our teaching and learning is open source. So, Reinvention Academy, all of our materials are open source. As long as you give us credit, intellectual credit, meaning that whatever tool you're sharing from our portfolio or insight or a quote or whatever else, you are mentioning the source, the author of that tool, and the reinvention method as an overall overarching umbrella. As long as you mention the source, you're free to use, including commercial use, anything we produce. And everyone asked me, Nadia, you spent 20 years developing this intellectual property, like the book you see behind us that has 9 different tools called the Chief Reinvention Officer Handbook, How to Thrive in Chaos. And by the way, you can download the 85-page preview of that book and get 2 of the 9 tools to test them out right now. So you will see in the comments where to find those. But people ask me, you develop them, why would you give them away for free and even give people the right, a lifetime license? When they graduate from the courses, everyone has a lifetime license. Why wouldn't you charge for it? Why wouldn't you trademark Chief Reinvention Officer as a combination of words? You invented it. Why would you not? Because I don't see any benefit in it. Anything we develop right now in consulting, coaching, training space, everything is essentially a reinvention of somebody else's work. It's essentially standing on the shoulders of giants. So, this idea that I can claim the credit for the idea of any of the tools, Stellar Strategy Canvas, the Portfolio Canvas, Titanic Syndrome Test, the idea that I can develop and own the ownership, that's just not true. I didn't develop it on my own. First of all, it stands on science that was hundreds of years old, not just the modern science and management, but also philosophy and sociology and ethics that is Roman times. And then on top of that, we have a community of thousands of practitioners around the world who test all of our tools. So how can I claim the credit or try to hoard it? This idea that intellectual property can be protected, I think, is completely irrelevant. And for us, it becomes very, very important that we do everything open source, that we share the content, that the lifetime license is there so that we can all grow collectively. In these volatile times, it's actually more useful to share far and wide from our perspective and grow as a whole, grow the industry as a whole. If the entire consulting, coaching, and training industry gets better reputation, better image, better level of trust, then my company will do better as well, because the overall reputation of our industry and the effectiveness, the measurable result of our industry would be non-disputable. And I want to be part of the industry that is non-disputably a benefit to society. I want our methodologies to be so obviously successful then when a consultant, a trainer, a coach is introduced in an organization, everyone is excited to see us there. And unfortunately, right now, it's not the case. Unfortunately, right now, and tell me if you see a different story, very often when I come inside the organization, I'm met with a lot of skepticism, with a lot of resistance, with a lot of, what are you doing here? We've seen so many of you. You come and go, and we're left with your mess. That kind of language. And I want to change that. And for that, it means if we all get better, if all of our coaching, consulting, training practices become more impactful, get better brand and identity and reputation, we all win. Collaboration has been a huge source of growth for us. That's why Global Alliance of Reinvention Professionals, for example, works collaboratively. We bid for projects together. We develop new tools together. We train each other. We share tips on contracts. We develop common approaches. The Global Alliance of Reinvention Professionals is where competitors essentially come together to collaborate. And it's been very, very important point of our growth. So Number one, ear to the ground. Number two, content versus process consulting. Number three, co-opetition, cooperative competition. Co-opetition, collaboration with our own competitors has been very, very important for our growth. But of course, these are not the only secrets. If you want more, if you want to actually try out to tools that we have developed collectively and reinvent your own consulting, coaching, training practice, great invitation. We are starting our lab on Monday, this Monday, April 25th. The way the lab works, it's a 1 hour on Zoom every day, and you have a workbook with one worksheet for a day. 1 hour plus about 20-30 minutes for the worksheet. So about hour and a half a day. And by the end of 5 days, you come out with an achievable plan for your own reinvention of your consulting, coaching, your training business, including an internal practice. Or those of you who are considering either a side hustle or a full-time transition from a corporate to a consulting life, that's also a very good tool for you. So I would love to see you at the Easy Reinvention Lab. It's always free. It's always live. We have a recording available. So if you cannot join us, we usually meet at 12 noon every day, US Eastern. If you cannot join us, you're welcome to watch a replay. We have it a limited time available, but it's there. And we do it in a very collaborative way. People share their homework, share their puzzlements, share their victories, and so on. So we would love to see you there as well. And if you are not coming to the lab, but you want to test out some of these tools, of course, please download the handbook. It's a 85-page PDF. I would love to hear your feedback on how that works, what is working, what is not working. Would be exciting to see what's happening for you as well. With that, let me finish up this episode of the show. I hope this was relevant for you. I would love to hear your secrets of success. What helped you, your consulting, coaching, and training businesses grow? Let me know in the comments what seemed to be the trick. It was, of course, a very hard few years for all of us. And at the same time, it's the time of great opportunity. So if our story of any indication, as I said, we grew 477% in 2020, doubled our 2020 result in 2021, and on target to about 4-5 times growth 22 to 21. So for us, some of the secrets, asking our customers every 2 days, have been crucial. Collaborating with our competition has been crucial. Moving towards process consulting has been crucial. We would love to hear your comments, your answers, your solutions. Paul is writing me. It was a great talk. Thank you. And I'm happy that this is helpful. Register for the lab. It's the last lap of the spring. Even if you cannot join us live, watch the replays. And the next lap is only in August. So we'd love you to test out some of these tools already next week. Join us for the lab, grab the handbook, and I will see you next week for another episode. Thank you, guys. Everyone, let me know how this episode went. Should we do more of this? What topics do we need to cover? And on and on and on. I see our graduates here. Michael is here, our certified reinvention practitioner from Italy. Miguel is here, Portugal. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have an amazing rest of the week, and I'll see you at the lab next week. Share the lab with your communities. Bring others. Let's have an amazing finish to the spring season so that our fall season starts strong well. Thank you, guys. Love to see you again.